Originally when I conceived this drawer, I wanted to use this flush pull here. But when I pretty much finished it and I looked at it, I thought there's a lot of things going on here already. But without this thing, I need a way to open this drawer. And so I installed this piece of mahogany. It's a little bit thinner than the lip here. And also if you'll notice that the drawer is actually recessed from the front. So to do that, to set the depth of the drawer, how much recesses or protrudes, I added these poplar dowels onto the back. So these are 1/8 inch dowels. And there are 4 of them. And then I installed them and I just filed them down gradually until the drawer sat in a position that I liked. I started out by laying out 2 parallel lines that are approximately 1/16 of an inch apart. And that's a little bit bigger than the kerf of the saw that I'm going to use. I used masking tape so I can see this more clearly. Then I drilled 2 holes so I can turn my saw around as I'm cutting. The outer set of lines ended up on the frame, and the inner set ended up on the drawer front. Now, I'm just using these lines as guides. Make sure you put lines on both sides, that way you can keep everything relatively square. Instead of plugging up the circular hole with a round dowel, I decided to square it up and then add a piece of hickory here. And I'm using epoxy to get the hickory to stick on the walnut. So as it turned out, that piece of hickory was just a little bit thin. So I went ahead and added a couple of pieces of rice paper here. And I also added a piece of rice paper along the top between the interface of the oak and the walnut because the 2 surfaces, the bare wood surfaces, were so smooth. I originally saw this paper technique by a Korean woodworking master, and I always wanted to try it. I thought this was a really good opportunity to test out if it works well or not. I found that this paper technique worked well to increase friction between 2 very smooth surfaces, but if the surfaces weren't perfectly flat or smooth, the paper also helps to fill in some of the gap. I then gradually reduced the height and the length of the drawer front until it started to fit inside the frame. Unfortunately, I don't have any footage of that. The rest of the drawer is fairly ordinary. It's very standard operation, transferring the tail onto the pin side and cutting out the half-blind dovetail. I would say that to make the drawer just a little bit easier to work with, I would make the back of the drawer just a little bit smaller than the front of the drawer, and the backs connect using through dovetails. This is one of the last fittings that I had done. I recommend going very slowly because you can always take material off, but you can't always add it back on. So I'm just labeling the areas where I think it is getting caught, and I'm slowly removing those areas until I get a much better fit. So the fit is going to sound really tight, but keep in mind that a drawer always gets looser over time. So I hope you enjoyed this continuous grain drawer front demonstration. I've never done it before. This is how I think it should be done. And I hope you keep what you liked about it and throw away what you didn't like, or let me know what you didn't like about the way I made this drawer. Also, this drawer is part of my portable workbench that I've built here, and it's completed. I'm working on the video, and so hopefully I'll be able to get those out in the next couple of weeks, and I hope you'll come back for those.